Hi, my name is Maryssa, and this is my presentation on the family assessment for Nursing Lab 334. Okay, so first we have the family composition table. All of the names have been changed to keep the original family private. So here we have the Parr family from The Incredibles. First we have Bob Parr. He is the father. He is 44 years old, and he is currently married to Helen Parr. Helen Parr is the mother, and she is 42 years old. Bob Parr is a police officer, and his highest level of education is college. And Helen Parr is an administrative assistant at the Baton Rouge Water Company, and her education consists of some college. And then as far as their children, they have two boys, Dash Parr and Jack Parr. Dash is 14 years old and Jack is 10. They both are currently students in elementary and middle school, and they obviously don't have an occupation because they're both students. So now we have the genogram of the Parr family and their extended family. So first I'm just going to talk a little bit about the symbols and everything. So the square represents male, the circle represents female, and then the yellow colored lines of the genogram represents Bob and Helen's family. The black lines represent Bob Parr's family, so it's his parents. And then the red part of the genogram represents Helen's family. So that's her brothers and sisters, and then her parents. The half-filled shapes represents type 2 diabetes. So she did talk about how her family on her side had diabetes. And then sadly the shapes with the X in them represents their parents who have passed away. And then the two little slashed lines on Helen's side with her parents represents divorce, because she did talk about how her parents got divorced when she was in middle school. And then the gray line surrounding Bob and Helen and their two boys just represents their immediate family, and that's just showing like the family. So this is the eco map for the Parr family. So these are just some of the things that Helen talked about a lot in the interview that she said were really important to the family, and that I noticed that she talked about a lot. So some of those things, obviously work, something that both of them do pretty much 5 days out of the week. And obviously, like, she's an administrative assistant and her husband's a police officer, so very successful, very good work ethic. And then as far as and they have like I would say a strong relationship with their work. And then we have church. She did say that they haven't been going to church as much as they wanted to, but they try to make it every Sunday. But when other things get involved, like extracurricular stuff for their kids, they don't get to go to church as often. But they do try to go every Sunday, and they try to pray before meals and things like that. And I did give kind of like a week line to church, just because like they haven't been going as much as often recently, and they want a strong relationship with that. Next we have health. Health is really important to the Parr family. They talked a lot about like, listening to their doctors and going to checkups every 6 months or so to make sure that they are healthy. She said they don't really have any health issues in the immediate family. They're all pretty healthy. But she did mention that as far as like diet, health-wise, is not the greatest. They are at work and school and extracurricular stuff till pretty late in the evening, so they usually just pick up fast food on the way home or something really quick, or just like heat up chicken nuggets in the oven. So as far as like their diet, their health isn't the greatest. So I put kind of a weak line between that one as well, because they definitely could improve like on eating healthier and like taking time to like cook meals and everything. And then as far as school, Helen did mention that they are very involved in their children's school and education. So they put a lot of energy into that, which is why I put that little arrow there. And yeah, so they're really involved in school and make that an important aspect. Some other things that they really are involved in is extracurricular like sports and recreational sports. So they do a lot of baseball and soccer, and both the boys do that. And then another important thing that they find is valuable to them in their life is extended family. They have lost a lot of family in the past year, but they still find family very important, such as like aunts and uncles and grandparents and stuff like that. But they did, she did talk about how she doesn't really have the greatest relationship with her dad. So I kind of put, that there was a little bit of a tense relationship with her dad. So that's kind of what the lines represent. So as far as the developmental level of the family, I would say that they're in stage 4. Both their kids are under 14, so they are like school-age children. They're kind of going through that time period in life. They are in elementary and middle school, and at this point they're focused on their children's school and encouraging success and participating in extracurricular activities where they can socialize with others and fit in with others in the community. As far as communication patterns, so I would say that based off like the interview, and what Helen spoke to me about, their functional senders and receivers. She really emphasized that they split everything 50-50 when making decisions and parenting and things like that. So, and she kind of gave an example when they discipline their children, they both equally discipline them and like give their input on like repercussions. And then Jack, and Dash are really good kids, and they functionally receive the discipline from their parents and listen to them and listen to what they have to say. So the Parr family is definitely functional with sending and receiving communication. So power-based and overall continuum. So Helen and Bob both have referent power. They both have children that look up to them as role models in their life. Jack, and Dash share reward power because they can be well-behaved in hopes of having positive reinforcement from their parents. So it's kind of a power in itself that they're able to, know that they can be good kids and, get some positive feedback or something positive out of it. And then they are considered an egalitarian family because of how they equally split roles in caring and providing for their family. They do everything 50-50. So that's a functional, healthy way that they function as a family. So the role structure for each family member includes Helen and Bob. Both of their formal roles, she said, are the provider, and then the informal roles for both of them is the caretaker, because again, she did talk about how they really do parent 50-50 and function as a family, splitting things between each other. So she said provider and caretaker for both of them. And then Dash and Jack. So a formal role would be child socialization role. So they are, really part of socializing with other kids. Their recreational sports help them do that too. And then informal role would be a follower. So this kind of goes along with the eco map, but some of the family values. She said some of the things that are most important to them as a family is obviously family, friends, and health. Church is another thing that they value. Again, they haven't really got to go to church as much as they've wanted to in the past, but they do want to make that a priority. Work is also very important to them, setting a good work ethic for their kids. Education is very important to the Parr family, and they are very involved in their children's education. And then efficiency is really important to them because they work a lot, so they don't really get as much time at home to cook meals and stuff. So I feel that efficiency is another important family value to them, based off what she said, because it includes them eating a lot of fast food and having to be efficient with how they use their time because they don't have very much of it when they get home from work. As far as healthcare, we talked a good bit about this. She said they receive most of their health information and advice from their work, as well as they trust their doctors and pediatricians for advice as well. Don't really have much health issues in the family except for diabetes on the mom's side, Helen's side. And they do attend checkups and dental cleanings every 6 to 12 months. They take prophylactic measures to prevent sickness, such as probiotics and airborne gummies. And then as far as the closeness of the clinics for them, the pediatric office or pediatric clinic for the kids is close to their home, but she did mention that the Baton Rouge clinic, which is where her primary care is far from her home, but it's close to her work. And she said she's always had good experiences with their doctors and clinics here in Baton Rouge. And Helen did mention if anybody in the family does get sick, it's always her. So she did mention that, and she also mentioned that they're really big on getting a healthy amount of sleep and sleeping for at least 8 hours every night. Okay, so for this slide, kind of talked a little bit about family stressors and coping. She did mention that there was no divorce in the family, but that they were experiencing a long-term stress in their life right now. They lost 3 grandparents in the last year. So for the first NANA diagnosis, we have readiness for enhanced family coping, related to increased willingness by the family to communicate with each other about their feelings and coping with the loss of their family members. So a goal, the Parr family will be able to communicate and express their feelings with each other in a healthy way to help cope by the end of the month. Outcome, the Parr family will be able to discuss their feelings with other family members and feel heard and open about it by the end of the month. So some interventions, educate the family on the importance of expressing feelings with each other to help communicate and cope as a family, and provide examples of ways the family can come together at the end of the day and discuss their feelings. Okay, so a risk for is risk for parental role conflict related to both parents doing 50-50 of providing and caring for their children, leading them to not have a set role as a parent and trying to be a caregiver while also being a provider for the family. So a goal is Bob and Helen will establish an individual role as a parent and focus on that one role for their kids by the end of the month. And then outcome, Bob will be a provider for the family and Helen will be a caretaker for the family. Interventions, educate the family on the importance of establishing one role per parent so it does not cause strain on each parent of trying to be too many roles at one time. And these are just my references. Thanks for watching.